Good afternoon and a very warm welcome to Citizen Live at 1. I am Terry Ann Tibet. Now, the Ministry of Health has dismissed claims that one of the 4 patients tested for Ebola at the Kenyatta National Hospital has tested positive. Health Cabinet Secretary James Macharia says all the patients suspected of having the virus tested negative following initial special tests. The health CS says subsequent tests on the said patients confirmed the early results.
The Ministry of Health maintains that there is no Ebola case in Kenya following a series of tests on persons of interest in recent days. A number of foreigners who arrived in the country recently were taken for a series of tests to establish if they had the Ebola virus. The health CS says stringent measures have been taken to ensure that the virus does not make its way into the country.
On Friday night, we had to wait for the last case to be tested. We could not go to sleep until we got the results. At midnight, it was negative. What we told them is to be sure we wanted another test for the same patient, a secondary test to confirm that the first test was indeed negative. That result came out yesterday. It was negative. So I can confirm 100% that no case of Ebola has been reported or determined in this country.
The ministry is, however, yet to receive results to establish what killed a patient who tested negative for Ebola in Garissa after displaying worrying symptoms before his death.
I can confirm with you it was not Ebola. This person is not in the country. Ebola, as of now, can only come through the borders because it's not here.
Meanwhile, a 30-year-old woman in New Mexico, United States, is being tested for the deadly Ebola virus at the University of New Mexico Hospital. Health officials, however, say it is unlikely she could have contracted the virus. Esther Kahomi, Citizen Live at 1.
Still staying with matters, Ebola, Nigerian and Sierra Leone's national youth teams have pulled out of the Summer Youth Olympic Games in Nanjing, China, because of the Ebola outbreak in West Africa. The decision came following advice from Chinese authorities. The move comes even as West African nations battle the Ebola virus outbreak that has killed over 1,000 people so far.
Concern over the Ebola outbreak has reached here in mainland China in Nanjing, host of the 2014 Youth Olympic Games. 3,500 young athletes from all around the world are here to compete, but not the teams from 2 countries, Liberia and Sierra Leone, 2 West African nations currently battling the deadly outbreak. In fact, the International Olympic Committee has told CNN that both teams are not here to compete. In fact, both teams never arrived in Nanjing. And the Sierra Leone Youth Olympic delegation told the Associated Press that they were told by the Chinese embassy not to come to China due to concern over Ebola.
I think they should have come. So it's a great experience, so I wouldn't have, I would have come.
It is very much unfair because, not all the participants were affected with Ebola.
That's depressing. I hope no one's really got anything too bad. I hope they're all right, but that's a real shame because it's, like I said, absolutely fantastic here, right?
The International Olympic Committee says it is working with the relevant authorities to find the right approach under the guidelines of the World Health Organization. In a statement, the IOC says this, quote, "We clearly need to balance the safety of all the participants with the rights of the young athletes from the countries affected. We regret that some will not be able to compete, and we understand they are suffering twice with the outbreak in their country and then not being able to take part." With thousands of young athletes living in close quarters here at the Youth Olympic Village, authorities here are not taking any chances. Christy Liu Stout, CNN, Nanjing.
News back home now. Governors from all corners of the country have converged in Nairobi for a county leaders consultative forum on their Pesa Mashinani drive, seeking increased funding for the counties through a referendum. We're now joined live by our reporter Alex Kubasu, who's at the Nairobi Safari Park Hotel, where the event is currently underway. Kubasu, do bring us up to speed with how the forum is proceeding and just who is in attendance.
Yes, indeed, Terry, and we are live at the Safari Park Hotel, and the Council of Governors have organized a consultative forum dubbed the Leaders Consultative Forum on the Pesa Mashinani Initiative. We are aware they are having a referendum push for the county governments at least to have numerous issues. They have enumerated at least 10 of them that they need to be highlighted. Key among them being the deletion of the amendment of the 203 article so that the 15% allocation to county governments could be changed to 45% substantively. And in the consultative forum today, we are joined by the Legal Affairs Secretary, or rather the chairperson, who's leading also the referendum steering committee, the Governor of Meru, Governor Peter Munya, and he's here to at least shed some light on the progress of the consultative forum, as well as on the need for, or rather on where they have arrived at in as far as their push for referendum is concerned. Welcome. So, at what stage are you in the push for referendum currently?
Well, we are in the consultative stage. We started yesterday with consulting the deputy governors. We had dinner with the deputy governors who are now on board with us. Today's forum is a forum to talk to the leadership of the county assemblies. That includes the majority leaders, the whips, the minority and the majority, and the speakers. And then the next stage will be consulting the entire county assemblies, all members of the county assemblies. And then from there, we intend to go to the grassroots to meet the citizens. So we decided that we start with the leadership first, and then we move to the citizens. Because ultimately it's the citizens who will vote on the referendum.
So at what stage, or what is the response from the county leadership? Are they for the idea, or are they not for the idea?
Well, certainly they are for the idea. I mean, other than raising other issues that they would want included in the referendum questions, and suggesting on the approaches, different approaches that they think we should be able to adopt. Majority of the people are for the idea, because everybody can see that the constitution requires fixing. There is a problem that requires fixing, and the constitution is very clear. When you have issues with the constitution, you take them to the citizens who have the sovereigns of this country. They are the ones who have given the power that we are exercising, the people of Kenya. So going back to the people is the right way, and I think the stage is set for the referendum.
So at what timelines are we seeing for maybe the day for the referendum?
Well, we will take this consultative process is going to take a month or two, because we need to really prepare and we need to have everybody on board before we draw the roadmap. The technical committee, which we have already appointed, is working on the bills, the specific bill that will contain all the issues that are raised. They are already they are working already, and then after that we will draw the roadmap to the referendum, and we will be able to communicate the various stages that we will take before we reach the referendum itself.
Thank you so much, Bana Governor. So, Tyrian, also we are aware that some of the counties have complained that they have not been receiving the funds and they are not able to pay their staff members. They complained about a year ago on the challenges they are facing in a bid for them to be able to get the funds in time and to pay their workers. And we are now joined by the Wajir Governor Abdullahi, who is the chairman for the Committee of Finance, to just give us a quick update on so far. Do they have the monies to pay their workers, or what is the status? Karibu sana, Governor. So what is the status of the finances in the counties?
The County Allocation of Revenue Act, which is the legislation that divides the equitable share between the 47 counties, is yet to be enacted and assented to. So some counties that had rollover of some money from the previous financial year have tried to get approval from the Controller of Budgets for release of those monies. Others, in many cases, have made private arrangements with their local bankers to see to it that salaries for the month of July was paid. I'm confident that now nearly all should have paid, because as of yesterday we were told about 42 had already made payments, even in the case of Mombasa, in which the healthcare workers are striking, we have found out from the governor that indeed he's made arrangements and salaries have been paid. But we want to emphasize that this is not a crisis that was created by the county governments. There was a delay in two pieces of critical legislation: the division of revenue bill, which divides the money for the two levels of government, and two, after that one was assented to, a further delay in the county allocation of revenue bill or act, which is the one that splits the money for the 47 counties. And we foresaw this problem. We had told Senate that, look here, because now we're dealing with all the transferred staff from national government, we would not want to see delays in enactment of these bills, as we saw last year. And it's what has happened. But I think it's part of the learning process, and county governments are doing their best. In the case of Wajir, for instance, we made a private arrangement with our local banks to see to it that we paid salary before the end of June. Before the end of July, rather. Before the end of July.
So quickly, we've had the issues with the health sector. Could you paint a picture of the other staff in the counties? Is it only the health sector that is beaten up, or are we seeing also other workers not having been paid?
Where there were delays, I believe it is delays across the board for all the staff in that particular county. It's not only with the healthcare staff. So we were really also surprised that it's only the healthcare staff that are threatening to strike or are striking. But I believe that even in spite of the difficult circumstances, and we've confirmed this with many of the county governors and their treasuries, the county governments have made arrangements to see to it that salaries for the month of July is covered.
Thank you so much, Bwana Governor. So, Terry Ann, that is the situation of the county governments. In our subsequent bulletins, we shall give you a detailed coverage of the push for the referendum, as well as the health strike and what really is a crisis in the health sector. Back to you, Terry Ann, in studio.
Thank you very much. Alex Kubasu coming to us live from the Nairobi Safari Park Hotel. Now, governors have been accused of using members of the county assembly to advance their ongoing push for a referendum while insulating themselves from scrutiny on their use and management of devolved funds. Members of the Nyandarua County Assembly have asked their Jubilee Coalition colleagues to oppose the proposed changes to the constitution spearheaded by the Council of Governors and a similar effort by the opposition leaders under the Okoa Kenya banner.
2,200 members of the county assemblies from the 47 devolved units are expected in Nairobi over the weekend to take a stand on the twin referendum push spearheaded by the governors and the Okoa Kenya movement. But some of the county assembly members seem to have made up their mind on the proposed changes to the constitution, with Nyandarua County Assembly members accusing the governors of deceit.
The grammar for referendum is uncalled for at this time. What they need to tell Kenyans is the issue of development, but not to tell people to go back to the referendum. We do understand that the intention is to make the Jubilee government to lose taste and to lose the election.
Amendments to the Constitution through the popular initiative route must be supported by at least 24 county assemblies out of 47, and either the National Assembly or the Senate, before the Kenyan electorate can vote on the proposed changes.
But what we know, the clamor of pesa mashinani, we know ni pesa mifukoni mwao. And ask a simple question. Why are those governors do not want to be answerable to senators? As senators of the Senate is the mother of devolution.
But the Council of Governors and the Okoa Kenya team insist the referendum drive was unstoppable, despite the government's opposition. Governors are also opposed to the establishment of the County Development Board that will be chaired by senators.
I recommend that when time comes to sign that thing, that referendum, please put your signature there. We need more than 1 million, because I know all of us don't like what is happening today. Our rights must be honored, and therefore all of us president should sign it, and I'm asking him that even the referendum, when it is well signed, even he will benefit.
I have said it, and I will say it, that we don't want that ball. Why? Because you people, so you elected the senator to go and work where? In Nairobi, isn't it?
Yes.
Did you elect the senator to again come and be a boss of the governor here in Seattle? And how come they go change the law and they are now saying that the senator be the chairman and the governor be the vice chairman? So you only kupitisha sheria ya kuadirisha.
Governors are also opposed to what they term the Senate's overbearing attitude in its oversight role.
Me, I'm saying, even if they tell me to go to Nairobi today, I'll not go. I will not go because those are summonses that are not supposed to be honored by us.
Governors are this hour meeting in Nairobi to evaluate the progress of their referendum drive that is anchored on pushing for more allocations to county governments. Francis Gashure, Citizen Live at 1.
And as governors hold consultations on the challenges facing their counties, Health Cabinet Secretary James Macharia has expressed concern over the handling of health services in the counties.
If money has been sent to the counties and they're not paying the salaries and their salaries are getting delayed, that clearly is not excusable. And so what we are saying is in terms of administrative issues, counties must deal with it. It's one thing talking about lack of capacity, but it's another thing saying you have money in the bank accounts and health workers are going without pay. So we are very concerned. We shall be talking to the Council of Governors today to convene an intergovernmental sector forum for health, whereby me and the counterpart in the Council of Governors will sit and agree the way forward. Because whereas the salaries will be paid, I believe, the next 2 days for the 5 counties which have not paid, we do not want it to recur again.
Residents of Kwale County are facing a severe shortage of water that has put the county's government on the spot. And as Evelyn Wamboy narrates, women are now bearing the brunt of the situation.
It is now an all-too-familiar sight in the towns of Kinango, Vigurungani and Samburu in Kwale County. Women with buckets walking long distances to look for water. What was initially a temporary water problem has now prolonged into a problem that has forced Kwale residents to resort to dirty puddles of water for use. What is worse is that in some instances, the residents have to dig up such dry parcels of land in the hope that some water will spring out. Sometimes it does, most times it doesn't.
Tunatoka saa 12 nyumbani, twaenda mita kilo 20, twaenda tafuta maji. Tunaja ifika nyumbani, watoto wako hivi, hakuna maji ya kumosha ende shule.
Ukifika kule, utapewa maji, unaenda kule, ukaanza kutafuta mchanga, uchimbe, ndipo upewe maji.
A situation the governor promises to address.
Kwale County iko na chemichemi nyingi sana ambazo baadhi ya hizo zinapeleka maji kule kaunti ya Mombasa. Kwa mfano hapa Marere kuna huo mfereji ambao unapeleka maji Mombasa. Kuna pale Tiwi boreholes ambao vile vile yapeleka maji Mombasa, na Mwache Dam ambao sasa hivi yazungumziwa italenga vile vile kusambaza maji upande huo. Jambo ambalo tumesema hapa kaunti ya Kwale ni kwamba sisi watu wa Kwale tutahakikisha watu wetu wamepata maji kabla kupeleka maji kwa kaunti zingine.
The risk of waterborne diseases looms large, with residents now being forced to turn to ash as their only way of turning the little water available into safe drinking water. Evelyn Wamboy, Citizen Live at 1.
With the annual Mombasa International Cultural Festival expected to kick off on Thursday, the festival committee yesterday organized sports activities at the Jomo Kenyatta Public Beach to usher in the activities, which included athletics at the beach and beach volleyball, which were organized days to the festival, which is expected to showcase different cultures at the coastal city. The Mombasa International Cultural Festival is aimed at boosting tourism in the region amid concern over the drop in tourist numbers at the coast this year. Players in the industry have been urged to market the coastal city and its attractions more aggressively.
Many things have been said about Mombasa in terms of security, in terms of many other things. But we thought as key stakeholders in this industry, we want to come together and send a message to Kenyans and to the world at large that Mombasa is safe.
We have come to Mombasa because Mombasa holds 65% of the tourism industry. And our aim is to show that tourists can also come.
We are trying to promote the low altitude sports. It is just one of the many products of tourism department in Mombasa. So we're trying to shift focus away from the beach. What else can we do? We can promote culture in Mombasa.
Farmers in Marilal, Samburu County are up in arms over the invasion of wild animals from the Marilal sanctuary into their farms. The farmers have said grazing wildlife such as elands have crossed the sanctuary fence into their shambas and destroyed their crops. Abdulrahman Abdullahi now reports.
Elijah Lektai, a small-scale farmer in Yamu village, is a frustrated farmer. Besides the failure of the short rains earlier this year that slowed down crop production, Elijah's 2 hectares maize farm has been devastated by the influx of wildlife from the neighboring Marilal sanctuary. Prompted by dwindling pasture in the sanctuary, herds of eland antelopes have turned his farm into pasture grounds, leaving farmers here worse off, with some saying this situation has never been witnessed before.
Nimekaa hapa kwa hii shamba la takai, nimekaa karibu mwaka 5. Sijawahi kuona kitu kama hizi. Ambayo kitu inaruka juu kabisa hata ya fence. Baka hata sasa inaruka juu hata unashinda vile utafanya.
Farmers here are now appealing to authorities at the sanctuary to take charge of the situation, or else
kama serikali haichukua hatua, then we don't have allowance. What we are going to do is to defend our small chambers. And na tukiua najua hawatalala siku hiyo, watakuja kwa hiyo shamba saa hiyo.
Human-wildlife conflict has been on the rise in Samburu County owing to the dry weather conditions that have reduced the area under pasture within the vast arid county. Abdulrahman Abdullahi for Citizen TV.
Residents of Kamirok in the Kirio Valley area have decried attempts by the Baringo County government to evict them from a parcel of land whose ownership is in dispute until a land adjudication process is completed. The residents claim the county administration is trying to speed up their eviction, yet they have requested that a seismic survey be done on the said land to establish if there are oil deposits there. A 24-member task force formed by Baringo Governor Benjamin Chiboy to resolve the land ownership dispute was suspended recently. The team had earlier been asked to settle a boundary dispute between the Kenya Wildlife Services, KWS, and the community. But the Kamirok residents want the exercise halted until oil exploration in the area that is being conducted by Talo Oil is first completed. They have expressed fears that there are people out to evict them so that they cannot benefit from any future oil discovery, what they call their ancestral land. Meanwhile, residents of Kwale location in Eldoret, Uasin Gishu County have woken up to the shocking sight of a middle-aged man who was found electrocuted and dangling on an electricity transformer. It is believed that the young man was part of a gang that was on a mission to siphon oil from the transformer. Kenya Power officials had a difficult time removing the body of the suspected vandal as crowds milled around the transformer to catch a glimpse of the scene. According to the Kwale location chief, William Sang, dogs were heard barking for a long time before a power blackout hit the area. Sang said there has been an increase in vandalism of electrical equipment in the area.
Mbinu zao ni kuchukua hizo chuma vitatu zinakuanga tatu. Bahati mbaya stima ilipotoka wananchi walitulisha watu ya power.
It has become one of our major challenges as Kenya Power to supply quality supply to our customers. So we are appealing to the members of the public to assist Kenya Power to stop this menace.
Kapseret Member of Parliament Oscar Sudi has denied accusations by human rights activist Ken Wafula that he assaulted him and injured his right hand during an altercation in a pub in Eldoret town. Sudi has asked Wafula, who's the executive director of the Center for Human Rights and Democracy, to desist from associating him with a threat on his life. Sudi has further accused Wafula of engaging in a smear campaign to taint his political image, claiming the human rights activist is doing so with the intention of seeking sympathy from foreign donors. Last Tuesday, Wafula said that he would undertake a legal action against the Kapseret MP for allegedly assaulting him, claiming that he had reported the matter to the police thrice, with no action having been taken so far.
hata nyinyi kama watu wa Facebook na kufanya investigation hakuna mtu anaweza tena alijua nini mwenyewe unajua kwamba ile kitu tena chakula anakula ni pesa ya shule kwenye analala na pesa ya shule so hapo distract kama wazee kama siku alivuka akikimbia na kupiga ndio anasema msimuone kama tunasikia ni nini inaendelea kila mtu alikuwa anashangaa so tena kuna suspicion wale ndio sio kama ilikuwa
Administration police officers at Kabiet area in Nandi County have arrested 600 people and impounded over 1,500 liters of illicit brew in a raid to stamp out the sale of illicit liquor in the county. The law enforcers have said the operation will continue until all illegal brewing dens are eliminated. Gatete Njoroge now reports.
The fight against illicit brew across the country is gathering pace. Administration police officers in Nandi County have joined the fray with their latest swoop, resulting in the arrest of 600 people and the impounding of 1,500 liters of illicit brew.
Tumejionea na tumesema kwamba hatutakubali kuwatch vijana wakiendelea kuharibika kimaisha. Tutaweka manane sana tuhakikishe kwamba pombe haramu imeisha katika sub-county ya Nandi North.
The operation has been ongoing since 12 people lost their lives in Nandi County early last month after consuming toxic liquor. Police in Nandi County have said those arrested so far in the latest operation will be arraigned in court today.
Tungeomba court iweke fine ya hali ya juu ili hao watu ambao wanarudia mambo ya kutengeneza pombe haramu wawache.
The operation comes days after police intercepted a consignment of industrial alcohol at the Mlolongo Way Bridge near Athi River town. The cargo's origin and destination are under investigation, had been passed off as a maize shipment. Gatete Njoroge, Citizen Live at 1.
Citizen Live at 1 takes a short break. We'll be back with more after the break. Don't go too far. Welcome back. You're watching Citizen Live at 1. Now, in Iraq, a fierce ground battle is underway for control of a vital hydroelectric dam in the country. Kurdish Peshmerga forces say they've taken over the eastern side of Mosul Dam, but the hugely important structure is still controlled by the extremists of the Islamic State, ISIS. CNN's Anna Koren was embedded with the Peshmerga, and she explains what the Kurdish fighters are up against.
Black smoke billows on the horizon as heavy artillery and rockets pummel the enemy line. Peshmerga Special Forces waging an intensive ground operation against ISIS as US fighter jets and Predator drones patrol the skies. Their mission to take back Mosul Dam, captured by militants earlier this month. A critical piece of hydroelectric infrastructure that, if sabotaged, could let loose a wall of water that would flood the cities of Mosul and Baghdad and everything in between, killing countless lives. Commander Mansour Barzani, son of the Kurdish president, is in charge of the special forces and this operation.
We believe our Peshmerga we can take back because this is something very, very dangerous. It's very dangerous if it's going to be in the hand of terrorist Daesh.
As the offensive continues, ISIS eventually retreats, but in their wake leave IEDs and landmines scattered on the road, across the fields and inside buildings.
The Peshmerga finally allowed us to travel to the area that they attacked a few hours ago. We can still see smoke rising from the buildings. Now, we have been told we are not allowed out of the vehicle because of the risk of landmines planted by ISIS.
But once we reach the secured area, hundreds of Peshmerga gather, ready for the next offensive. Some showing off their achievements on the battlefield.
You're showing us photos of the ISIS militants that they killed earlier today.
But within minutes, another explosion.
Well, this is where the battle was staged earlier today against the ISIS militants. We're about 15 kilometres as the crow flies to Mosul Dam, and these soldiers were on their way there in this convoy when it was hit by an IED attack a short time ago. The injured officers have been taken back to base.
We later learn one of the soldiers died. As they begin to create the next defensive position closer to their target, an American Humvee seized by ISIS sits in ruins on the dusty plains. The result of a US airstrike, giving these long-term warriors the reassurance they need to take the fight to ISIS aggressively on the battleground. Anna Koren, CNN, near Mosul Dam, Iraq.
Security, freedom of movement and trade are just some of the points negotiators are addressing in the Israeli-Palestinian ceasefire talks. Fishing rights is another issue altogether that is now on the negotiating table in Cairo. There are reports that Israel has just eased its 1 nautical mile restriction on Gaza's commercial fishermen. CNN's Fred Plitgen reports on the plight of Gaza's fishermen.
When Gaza's fishermen pull in their nets these days, their catch is abysmal. A few very small fish and a lot of garbage. The first order of business for Captain Munir Abu Riala and his men, separating plastic bags and bottles from the fish. As you can see, we have to select the good ones, he says. What can we do? We just want money to live, and fuel is very expensive. When we went out off the coast of Gaza, we saw only small boats working the sea, some even using paddles to get around. There is no fish in this place, he says, but if we could go out further to the west, things would be much better. The UN says Gaza's fishermen have lost more than 230 tons of fish since the beginning of the recent hostilities between Hamas and Israel. Israel only allows the fishermen to work in a designated area, and increasing that fishing zone to 12 miles is a key Palestinian demand in the ceasefire negotiations.
We're less than a mile off the Gaza coast, and right now the fishermen here don't dare go out any further than this. But they say that if the fishing zone were increased to 12 miles, they would catch a lot more fish and a lot bigger fish and would vastly improve their economic situation.
Bigger trawlers aren't going out at all for the time being. The fishermen say some of their boats have come under fire from the Israeli Navy. Israel says it fired warning shots when boats breached the exclusion zone. So, for many working in Gaza's fishing industry, it's back to rods and reels, while raw sewage is pumped into the water just a few yards away. Anything closer than 6 miles to the shore has very sandy ground, and it's bad for fishing, says the head of Gaza's Fishermen's Union. If you go out more than 6 miles, the ground is rocky, and it's the best for fishing. The few cases that come off the boats nowadays are auctioned off immediately. 300 shekels, about $85 per case, an outrageously high price for low-quality fish. Leaving Gaza's fishermen hoping that negotiations for peace will also factor in their need to make a living. Fred Blanken, CNN, Gaza.
Turning to the currency market now, where the Kenyan shilling has crossed the 88 shillings mark to the dollar during today's mid-morning trading session due to escalating dollar demand from corporates, coupled with subdued dollar inflows. According to the Central Bank of Kenya, commercial banks have quoted the shilling at 88 shillings and 4 cents, buying 88 shillings and 19 cents selling. The same weakening streak was witnessed against the euro and the sterling pound, with the home unit having lost ground to the euro to trade at 117 shillings and 86 cents buying and 118 shillings and 9 cents selling. To the British pound, the shilling is trading at 147 and 24 cents buying, 147 and 52 selling. Closer home, the local unit remained unchanged. The Tanzanian currency to change hands at 18 shillings and 81 cents buying, 80 shillings and 95 cents selling, while weakening to the Ugandan shilling to trade at 29 shillings and 42 cents. That's buying, and 29 shillings and 59 cents selling. Well, and Wahiga Mara joins us now in studio with the sports news. Karibu sana. Quite some unfortunate news there about the teams that have been banned from entering Nigeria.
Well, I think you look at it from both perspectives. On one hand, the athletes who went there, this was their big chance to shine. There were potential gold medalists there, and for them, what's happening back at home, this is a place of release. But on the other hand, you're looking at the thousands of other athletes who need to protect. And I guess I'm hoping that this is the best. You've looked at all scenarios, and this is the best way to do it, where you could have easily said they go back home. But I think they're just reviewing the situation. Ebola, because the world doesn't quite know how to deal with it, there are a lot of different reactions. As you can see in Kenya, a spare here, and everyone runs. So, I mean, an unfortunate situation is the only way I can describe it.
All right.
I was actually going to tell you about that same tournament, Kenya Rugby Sevens. They've been playing there so far. Only won one game out of the 4. But the beauty is it's the youth team. The youth team will one day be the senior team. We're looking at the future, which I wish we could say about football as well, because we need to implement that for our football team, even as we're looking for a way forward with the Harambee Stars. So, lessons to learn, both in Ebola, of course, and also when it comes to sports.
All right. Looking forward to the sports.
Right. We'll be right back. I've told you almost everything, but there's so much more lined up when Citizen Sports at 1 kicks off right after this short break. See you.